In this video, I'm going to be giving a brief overview of each NFL team's history, current state, and interesting facts that help form their identity so you know who to root for on game day. Brief history. The APFA, which was eventually turned into the NFL, was formed in 1920. Out of the 12 founding members, only 2 of them are still active to this day. A rival league known as the AFL started in 1960, and the winner of both leagues would compete for the Super Bowl starting in 1967. In 1970, both leagues merged into one, splitting instead into 2 different conferences known as the NFC and the AFC. We'll start with the oldest team remaining to this day.
The Arizona Cardinals predate the NFL, but despite that, multiple Hall of Famers, and many deep playoff runs, the Arizona Cardinals have
Only won 2 NFL championships.
Currently, they're a pretty bad team, boasting a 3-5 record, but they do have some young stars like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, so there is bright spots in their future. However, Kyler Murray has gotten hurt and been inconsistent, so the future of the team can only be described as inconsistent. The Decatur Stanleys, now known as Chicago Bears, are the other founding team that's still in the league, although they've seen success, winning 6 NFL championships and a Super Bowl. They've always been known for their tough defense, especially in 1985, which is potentially the best defense of all time. Despite their other successes, they've never once had a 4,000-yard passer, being the only team in the league to never do so. They're currently sitting at 5-3, led by a slew of young stars, including their star quarterback, Caleb Williams. The future does look bright in Chicago right now, but they are the Bears, so they'll probably find a way to mess it up.
The Green Bay Packers were founded in 1919. They joined the league in 1921, and since then they won 9 NFL championships and 4 Super Bowls.
Being the only community-owned team and the smallest market, the fan base has a small-town feel and expectations of dominance, known for historically good quarterback play and being a tough opponent in the frozen tundra that is Lambeau Field. The Packers currently sit at 5-1 and are set to make a Super Bowl run this year.
The New York Giants joined the league in 1925 and have had success winning 3 NFL championships and 4 Super Bowls, one of those ruining the Patriots' undefeated season.
The Giants aren't typically a dominant team, but they have big moments like the OBJ catch or the helmet catch, and they have a large market and history of championship success. Currently, they are a bad team, but they're a young team, led by a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart, and they currently have a record of 2-7.
Joining the league in 1929, known as the Portsmouth Spartans, the Lions have won 4 NFL championships, with their latest being in 1957. Since then, they have been a historically bad franchise, being looked at as the league's lovable losers. Because of this, they boast one of the most loyal fan bases in the league.
Under head coach Dan Campbell and a stacked roster, the team is coming off a disappointing loss in the divisional round last year. They're sitting at 5-3 and hoping to make a Super Bowl run this year and solidify a new winning culture in the Motor City. Starting off as the Boston Braves, the Washington Commanders joined the league in 1932
and won 2 championships and 3 Super Bowls.
The team's name went through some controversy, and they only became the Washington Commanders in 2022. They made it to the NFC Championship game last year, led by their young star QB, Jaden Daniels, who won Rookie of the Year. They've had a pretty poor season with a record of only 3-6, and Jaden Daniels has been experiencing injuries, with many fans hoping this isn't a repeat of their last promising young quarterback.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have been a historically great team, with a tough blue-collar feel to them, and they're known for their exceptional defense like the Steel Curtain and its iconic black and gold colors. The Steelers have won 6 Super Bowls, tying for the most in the league. Under head coach Mike Tomlin, the Steelers have consistently made the playoffs every year, but have not managed to make it the Super Bowl since 2011. Currently, they sit at 5-3 and are set to make it again. Led by an old Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf, the Steelers are a team that can only be described as consistent.
Founded in 1933, the Philadelphia Eagles have won 3 NFL championships and 2 Super Bowls, the most recent of which was last year's. They are known as the worst fan base in the league, with strong passion and being known to have riot-like celebrations after big games, starting fires and flipping cars, forcing the city to grease its own poles so they won't climb them. The Eagles are coming off a Super Bowl win, while still having a stacked roster and currently sitting at 6-2 looking to repeat. The Rams were founded in Cleveland in 1936 and moved around over the years, ending up in LA where they currently reside. They were able to get their very first Super Bowl recently, just in 2021, following a blockbuster trade for quarterback Matthew Stafford from the Detroit Lions. Currently, Matthew Stafford is still playing amazing this year and is leading them to a 6-2 record, throwing to incredible wide receiver duo Devonta Adams and Puka Nacua.
The Cleveland Browns might be one of the most miserable sports franchises in all of American sports. Being established in 1946, they found past success winning 4 NFL championships with legends like Otto Graham and Jim Brown, but they won their last championship in 1964. The team has been in what looks like a constant rebuilding period, along with being on the losing end of one of the worst trades in NFL history. They are one of few teams to have ever gone 0-16. Currently, the fan base is still in the same state of purgatory, hoping that this year's quarterback will be the answer. But with a record of 2-6, they won't be making the playoffs anytime soon.
The San Francisco 49ers were founded in 1946 and have an impressive 5 Super Bowl wins. The 49ers have had a historically good teams, led by superstars like Joe Montana, Steve Steve Young and Jerry Rice. The fan base has an expectation of championships, making the Super Bowl 2 of the last 6 years, but they didn't manage to win either of them. Currently, they have a record of 6-3, but are suffering from an overwhelming amount of injuries, including their quarterback Brock Purdy, which hinders their chances of making a deep playoff run this year.
Being originally founded in Dallas, Texas in 1952, the Indianapolis Colts have one NFL championship and one Super Bowl, the latter being courtesy of quarterback Peyton Manning, one of the best to ever do it at that position. Known for elite quarterback play, going from Manning to Andrew Luck, they have struggled to find success since he was retired. Currently, they have Daniel Jones at the helm, who has been a pleasant surprise next to Jonathan Taylor as they look like a good team this year. With a 7-2 record, they lead the AFC at the moment.
The New England Patriots are one of the best dynasties the sport has ever seen. Behind Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they won all 6 of their championships between 2002 and 2019, making them the team to beat in the 2000s and 2010s. After the departure of Brady, the team struggled for a bit until this year, where second-year star Drake May has led the team to a 7-2 record and is currently one of the favorites to win MVP. The Patriots are spoiled for too long, and it is unfair that they are being graced with such great quarterback play again already. The Buffalo Bills are founded in 1960 and have won 2 AFL championships. However, despite making it to 4 Super Bowls in a row, they lost every single one of them, leading to the belief that the franchise may be cursed. The Bills Mafia may be the rowdiest fan base in the league, jumping through tables and displaying intense loyalty to their team. With quarterback Josh Allen leading the team and coming off an MVP last year, the team sits at 6-2, looking like a real playoff contender this year.
America's team. The Dallas Cowboys were founded in 1960 and hoisted a pair of Super Bowls in the 70s and 3 more in the 90s. Despite having talented rosters since then, they have not had playoff success since the turn of the century. Their owner Jerry Jones has remained the owner throughout all of this and has continued to make questionable decisions, most recently trading Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. The current team has the worst defense in the league, with one of the most high-scoring offenses, leading to entertaining shootouts, but the team is 3-5-1 and not destined to have any major success anytime soon.
The Denver Broncos, founded in 1960, have been incredible teams when they've had star QBs like John Elway and Peyton Manning, but lackluster without them. They have hoisted 3 Super Bowls for their loyal and proud fans up at the Mile High Stadium. They have a second-year quarterback in Bo Nix looking to make a name for himself. The team is currently sitting at 8-2 with high hopes of making playoff success now and in the near future.
The Kansas City Chiefs, established in 1960, won 1 AFL championship and played in the first ever Super Bowl, where they would lose to the Green Bay Packers. They did end up winning their first one, however, just 3 years later. Since then, they went on a bit of a championship drought before drafting quarterback Patrick Mahomes and have made it to the Super Bowl 5 of the last 6 years, winning 3 of them. The Chiefs are the current dynasty in the NFL and are currently 5-4. With the players coming off of injury and suspension, they're becoming the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl again this year. Chiefs fans are eating good right now. Starting off in Oakland in 1960 and eventually making their way to Las Vegas, the Raiders have been home to some of the best players in the game and have won 3 of their 5 Super Bowl appearances. However, the last one they played in was 2003, and since then, despite making the playoffs a few times, they haven't been seen as a true contender recently. They are currently in rebuild mode with a new head coach and new quarterback Geno Smith, who is having a pretty bad season. Their current record is 2-7, and despite this, Raiders Nation always shows out rocking iconic silver and black spiky outfits to support their team. The Chargers were originally founded in San Diego in 1960 but made the move to LA in 2017. Sharing SoFi Stadium with the Rams, the Chargers sometimes feel like the second most important team in LA. They haven't had a lot of past success, winning no championships, but that doesn't stop their fan base from showing up on game day. Unfortunately, the Chargers have a reputation for losing heartbreakers and blowing big leads. Currently, they have a good young roster led by Justin Herbert and sit at a record of 6-3 with hopes of making a splash in the playoffs this year. The Jets are another miserable sports franchise, being seen as the lesser New York team. Founded in 1960, they won a Super Bowl thanks to Joe Namath, but have not found their way back in over 50 years. The Jets have produced some really good players and Hall of Famers, but unfortunately they haven't been able to find consistent quarterback play since Namath left. Hall of Famer Brett Favre and future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers have both had stints in New York and accidentally built the Jets a reputation of being the Packers' retirement home. Currently they are sitting at 1-7 and traded away several key players, signaling that they are going into full rebuild mode. The Tennessee Titans are another franchise established in the 1960s that has 0 championships to their name. They made it to their first and only Super Bowl in 2000 and they lost to the Rams. Behind stars like Derrick Henry, they've had a couple of deep playoff runs in recent history, but overall they've been pretty disappointing. Right now, they're a terrible team with a 1-8 record and a rookie quarterback, and there aren't a lot of stars on that team. The Minnesota Vikings joined the league in 1961 and have a history of consistently winning. Unfortunately, they haven't won a single Super Bowl despite making it to 4. They're kind of like the Buffalo Bills of the NFC. They are known for elite wide receiver play, like Randy Moss and Chris Carter, and now they have Justin Jefferson, who is the best wide receiver in the league at the moment. Just like all Minnesota sports teams, the Vikings get it done in the regular season but can't get it done in the playoffs. Fans always remain optimistic and perform cool traditions like the Skull Chant in all their games. They're currently 4-4 and have a chance to make the playoffs, but they'll have to rely on their second-year unproven quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. The Atlanta Falcons joined the league in 1966, and in that time they haven't won any Super Bowls. They made it to the Super Bowl in 2017 with Matt Ryan, but the only thing people can seem to remember is how they blew the infamous 28-3 lead against the New England Patriots. This game was supposed to be their first Super Bowl, but now it's just a scar on every single Falcons fan that some are still recovering from today. Currently they sit at 3-5, but some promising young stars like Michael Penix Jr., Drake London, and Bijan Robinson, the Falcons have potential to develop into a really explosive offense in the near future. The Miami Dolphins joined in 1966 and won 2 back-to-back Super Bowls in 72 and 73. With quarterback Dan Marino, they're the only team to ever gone completely undefeated. The Dolphins are the type of team that can beat a good team one week and then lose to a bad team the next week. The team can't seem to stay healthy, and with a record of 2-7, the Dolphins aren't on a trajectory to make the playoffs. The Saints are a team that always seems to be surrounded by controversy, both of their own doing and against them. In the early 2010s, their coach was encouraging them to hurt other players in the Bountygate scandal. On the flip side, the most egregious missed call in NFL history happened against them and cost them a trip to the Super Bowl. In 2010, Drew Brees was able to get them their first and only Super Bowl ring, though. Right now, the Saints are 1-8 and have a confusing quarterback situation. There's not a whole lot of star power on this team, and the best decision they can make right now is to tank for the number 1 pick. Since joining the league in 1968, the Cincinnati Bengals have had some flashy players and MVP winners, but they have no championships to their name. In 2021, they made it to the big game, led by young quarterback Joe Burrow, who brought a new sense of swagger to the city. Paired with wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the Bengals are one of the most stacked offensive rosters in the league. Because of spending all that money on offense, the defense is looking really bad. Having just a 3-6 record and an injured Joe Burrow, the team is not looking like a contender this season. The Seahawks were established in 1976. They became a really scary team throughout the 2010s, where they made a couple of Super Bowls, winning one and losing another in one of the most infamous plays in NFL history. A lot of their success stemmed from the Legion of Boom, regarded as one of the best defensive units football's ever seen. The 2010 Seahawks were one of the most fun teams to watch, with so much energy, and it helped that Lumen Field is one of the loudest and most passionate environments to play in the NFL. This year they sit at 6-2, with breakout wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba leading the league in receiving yards by a large margin. They're looking really good this year, and if they keep it up, they can make a deep playoff run. The Buccaneers were really bad in the 70s and managed to get their first Super Bowl in 2002. And in 2020, Tom Brady departed from the Patriots and joined the Buccaneers, where they won another one. After Brady retired, there was a vacancy at the quarterback role that has only been filled recently by Baker Mayfield, playing on his 4th NFL team. Now he looks like a true MVP candidate, and the Bucs are 6-2, leading the NFC South. The team and the fans rally behind Baker's energy and aggressiveness on the field, making it a fun team to watch. Despite all the injuries, the Bucs find ways to win and are looking like a really good team heading towards the playoffs. Founded in 1999, the Carolina Panthers haven't been around for a while, but despite not winning any Super Bowls, they've made it to 2. The 2015-16 Carolina Panthers was one of the most electric teams to watch of all time. With a 15-1 record led by MVP Cam Newton and superstars on both sides of the ball, this team played like dominant and explosive force. Unfortunately, they crumbled in the big game and were not able to win the Super Bowl. After a couple of injuries to Cam Newton, he was never the same. The Panthers drafted Bryce Young first overall in 2023 and has struggled in his first couple of years in the NFL. They have a young set of offensive weapons and could potentially be good in the future depending if some of their young stars take a step forward. This season, they're sitting at a surprising 5-4, but it feels like they're going to end up being fraudulent. The Jacksonville Jaguars joined the same year as the Carolina Panthers and still have yet to get a Super Bowl win as well. They have fielded some good teams like the Saxonville defense and made some deep playoff runs all the way to the AFC Championship game back in 2017. The team has never had the dominant quarterback play they've needed to make it to the big game. In 2021, they drafted Trevor Lawrence first overall and have been rebuilding the team around him, seeing varied levels of success. They made the playoffs a couple of times recently but haven't had any notable runs. This year they're sitting at 5-3 and look like a team that can make it to the playoffs, but I doubt they'll make it to the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens fill the gap that the Colts left, re-establishing an NFL team in the city in 1996. The Ravens established an identity as a hard-hitting, gritty defense with past legends like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. The Ravens are a fairly new team, but in their limited history, they've already gotten 2 Super Bowl titles. In the 2020s, the Ravens have been a Super Bowl contender basically every year, but haven't quite managed to make it over the hump to the big game. Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs in that time, but has a reputation for choking in big games. Right now, the team's having a down year, only 3-5. Despite having an incredible roster on paper, it doesn't mean anything when they're all injured. The Ravens will continue to be a dominant force in the AFC as long as the team can find a way to be healthy in the next couple of years. The Houston Texans are the newest team in the NFL, being established only in 2002. They start off pretty bad, and in their 23 years of existence, they have really yet to make any noise in the playoffs. They have had some dominant players like J.J. Watt, who came extremely close to winning the MVP as a defensive player in the 2010s. They currently have a record of 3-5 and aren't looking very good, but their roster is extremely young and banged up. If quarterback C.J. Stroud and their wide receivers develop into the superstars they want them to be, the Texans could be looking like a really scary team in the next few years.
So there you have it, all 32 NFL franchises in all their glory. Be careful though, because you ride or die with whoever you choose.